Scorpio, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead, keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there. And if you're interested in a personal reading, check out the description below because I'm offering a promotion for the month of May, and it's a very good time to get a reading if you've been wanting one. All right, my friends, let's get started for Scorpio. Let's see. We're going to start with the tarot cards. We're doing Celtic Cross this week. Let's see, where is Scorpio at for this week ahead? All right. Six of Pentacles. Love that. Nice balanced energy. Giving, receiving. You know, maybe you identify with the individual giving this week. Maybe you identify with the individual receiving this week. Either way, good to keep both lanes open, giving and receiving. Staying in balance, staying grounded, staying secure, and sort of keeping that two-way lane open where giving and receiving is happening in balance. Right? Where you feel worthy to receive and you also feel that it's sort of a generous vibe when you give, and it's also an open vibe when you receive. So keeping both lanes open. Let's see what the obstacle may be for this sense of balance and sort of that two-way street. Okay, interesting. The obstacle is the King of Pentacles in reverse, which I say is interesting because when the King of Pentacles appears in the reverse, we are sometimes financially motivated, which, you know, it happens in life. Sometimes there are moments where our motivations are financial and we want to establish some security and some grounded stability for ourselves financially in the material world. And it's interesting to see it sort of being the obstacle, for the Six of Pentacles. So in this dynamic, you might be the one wanting to gain more. You might be the one wanting to receive. And you might be overly focused on that. And so it's interesting, right off the top, the guidance for me seeing this is be more generous. And then you will also receive more. So you have to keep both lanes open. Even if you're financially motivated because you want more of this, that might mean that you have to give this away to receive more, to keep the energy flowing, not just take, right? Sometimes we have to give to take. Sometimes in order to receive, we have to give. You know what I'm saying? And so it's very interesting looking at this. So Scorpio, you might be in a place where you need to be open to giving and receiving, both. Let's see here. This also makes me think that you may not be open to receiving, that you may be like so determined to be self-reliant that you're not even open to receiving support. So it might not be that you're just taking from people. You might not even want to take anything. You might be like, unless I earn it, it's not mine. You know, like you might be in a place where you have to look at worthiness and receptivity, right? Very interesting. Let's see. Because you might be the kind of person that is willing to give to others, but you're not willing to receive. And that blocks abundance. When we're only giving, but we're not open to receive, that completely blocks your abundance. So, something to think about. Let's see what's top of mind here for Scorpio. The Tower. In reverse. So there is a pattern of behavior that you're hanging on to that's not serving you. And it may just be exactly the dynamic I just mentioned, where you're more comfortable giving than you are receiving, or you're more comfortable receiving than giving. You'll have to see where you fall and be honest with yourself. Don't judge yourself. Just be honest with yourself so you can look at it and sort of be like, what is this experience teaching me about myself? Because the second we judge ourselves, the wall of denial goes up and we're like, well, I'm not doing that. What is she talking about? I'm going to click off. I'm not doing that. And it's sort of like, well, just have a look at it. See what side of the fence you're on. Maybe you're on the other side of the street where you're not giving or receiving. You're sort of just trying to do everything on your own. You know what I mean? And there's some pattern of behavior here with the Tower that you're not completely on board with. That's why I mentioned denial. Seeing the Tower in reverse really makes me feel like there's a pattern that needs to go. There's a belief that needs to go. There's a structure that needs to go. Something in your life right now that's not serving you, but you're hanging on to it. Let's see what unconscious drivers are present. What's the base of the matter here? What's at the root of this? Okay, we see the Five of Swords and the Page of Wands at the root of this. So what that tells me is that you don't feel necessarily like you're able to communicate your needs. You don't necessarily feel worthy of receiving or accepting things from others. You might block that. You don't feel like you can communicate your needs. You might be the kind of Scorpio that has a hard time asking for help. You might be a Scorpio that has a hard time saying, I need support, or I need some help with something. You know, you might really struggle with that and feel like you have to do everything on your own, and that if you don't have material wealth, then you have nothing. Like that's also coming through here. So you might need to shift into a new narrative, because the Page of Rods in reverse kind of reminds me of sort of denying self-discovery, denying a new way of doing things, denying things all over the place, and then getting really triggered by things because your focus is sitting in a place where you're denying something. And so anytime it pops up, you get triggered because you almost have like a defense mechanism operating in the background trying to protect you from something because you've decided that it has to be a certain way. And so when anything contrary comes up to the surface, you deny it, you get defensive, and you suddenly shut down and you don't express how you feel. And then you end up feeling defeated. And you might even be like, nobody supports me. But are you open to receiving support? This is interesting. Let's see what the past influences on this have been. 2 cards. Knight of Swords, or Knight of Wands, and 4 of Swords. So in the past, you may have been more bold, and you may have had this ability to sort of put your mind at rest and realize to yourself that I'm going to go after the things that I really care about and that matter to me. And it's almost like you had to heal from something as a result, like you had to recover from something. So you may have gone full force into one direction and then felt like you needed a minute to sort of understand that. And you may have come back into this space that says, well, that's what you get for really trusting people, or that's what you get for putting yourself out there. And it almost makes me feel like you developed some kind of limited belief about this that has now come back to the surface and is needing your attention again. It's interesting. Let's see what the upcoming energy is for you, Scorpio. What's the upcoming energy? The 4 of Wands in reverse, which is a message of gratitude. When you see the 4 of Wands in reverse, it's often a time where it's like, you know, again, this could trigger someone listening. Don't complain so much and start looking for things to be grateful for. That it's a message of shifting your focus to gratitude when you see the 4 of Wands. And so that feels like the upcoming energy for you is going to be most served through gratitude. And so there's a dynamic at play here that has to do with material security. So instead of focusing on what you don't have and putting so much pressure on yourself to always be self-reliant and to always have material success and wealth, it's almost like you're being guided to see what you do have, to be grateful for it, and then to start opening up that two-way street of give and receive. And that could really shift things for you, and that might be what you're in denial of right now. So let's see, how do you feel about yourself? What do you see when you look in the mirror? How do you see yourself, Scorpio? Oh, that's too many cards. Very interesting ones, but hang on. We're looking for 1, 2 max. How does Scorpio see themselves? How does Scorpio see themselves? Thank you. Aha, the Queen of Wands in reverse. I was just talking about the Queen of Wands in reverse with a Scorpio that was getting a personal reading, and I was explaining to this Scorpio how the Queen of Wands in reverse reminds me of like the Disney queens that are cast as villains. You know those queens, like any Disney movie that had a queen in it that was up to something, and the main character was the princess and all of that. So when we look at the queen initially, we're like, oh, the queen is evil and she has bad intentions and, you know, hopefully she doesn't win and all of that. But when I see the queen, the villains in Disney, I often think of the Queen of Rods in reverse, because she did have good intentions and something really, really disappointed her. Something betrayed her. She was betrayed. She was let down. She was disappointed by something. And I feel like you were too, Scorpio, here in the past. And so the Queen of Rods can appear very sort of ready to take revenge and ready to be sort of the one that instigates trouble and creates drama and is the one that will take her revenge, right? And it's interesting because the Queen of Rods in reverse, as how you see yourself, says to me that you are wounded. You're a wounded queen. And that if you weren't wounded, you would be very passionate, creative, and confident. But because of this wounding, which puts this card in reverse, you're now in a place where you're too afraid to take a risk because you're really, really focused on what other people think and how to prove yourself to them in some way. So this could also bring out a jealous energy where you look at others and you think to yourself, just like those Disney queens, well, how come the princess gets everything she wants? When I was a princess, I got locked in a tower and the key was thrown away, or someone put a spell on me, or you know what you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like you're too afraid to take a risk because your self-confidence has sort of been shattered by something in the past here. And you're needing to recover from that and to focus on gratitude rather than comparing yourself to others. Sometimes these queens, when they're in reverse, especially the Queen of Wands, is afraid to not be the center of attention and doesn't want to lose that sort of spotlight. And so as in an attempt to maintain that, they sometimes turn to sort of a passive aggressive energy to obtain that attention, like negative attention, as opposed to being grateful for the experience and staying in that two-way vibe of giving and receiving. You might see yourself as someone who isn't capable of that because of what you've gone through. Again, the wounded archetype comes through. Now let's see how other people see you. How do other people see you? Oh, we got two cards for that. Oh, isn't that interesting? The Fool and the Magician both in reverse. Now that's card 0 and card 1 in a very well shuffled deck that I've been shuffling all day. You got two cards that come out side by side in order in reverse. So that tells me, again, there's a lack of belief that you can do something. You have all the tools on the table here, as you can notice here. You've got a sword, a wand, a pentacle, and a cup. So you have all the elements here, and you're holding your wand up, a different wand, up to the sky, and you're saying, as above, so below. And you're creating magic as you shift your perception. Now, when we see this in reverse, it kind of has the same vibe as that Queen of Rods in reverse, that you're sort of up to something that's not serving you. So it could be a limited belief. It could be a wounded expression of yourself that's now in the driver's seat, and you're starting to feel that that sort of energy that says, I can't, or I won't leave myself open again. I'll never make myself vulnerable to being hurt again. I'm closing the side of the street that allows energy in. And that blocks you. That totally blocks you, Scorpio. And that's coming out with this Fool in reverse, which is the first card of the major arcana. So that says that you're not willing to take a step into a new path. Right now, you're not willing. And again, when you think about those Disney princesses, or the Disney queens that are often cast as villains, their backstory is often one where they were disappointed, let down, and hurt when they did take a leap of faith. And so they get portrayed to us in these movies as villains when really They just need to love themselves again. And that may sound a little cheesy and hokey, but that's almost what needs to happen here, is to accept yourself, love yourself, and start to sort of open up that street again. Look, there's the sun on the bottom of the deck, which is such an optimistic energy, one that's such a yes card, and it's such a positive energy that says that whatever it is that you're pursuing is going to be okay. Like, it's going to be more than okay. Everything's going to work out here. But it's going to involve some shift. It's going to involve understanding what this experience has been trying to teach you about opening up again and being receptive again and being okay with taking a chance again and being okay with sort of changing the energy of the outer reality by shifting the energy within, right? By not holding on to the archetype of the Queen of Wands in reverse, but more so upright, the version of her that is creative, passionate, and confident, not insecure, vulnerable, and almost angry. You know what I mean? Almost angry. Yes. Now let's see what the hopes and fears are here. The Chariot. So that's interesting because that tells me that your hope and fear is to move in a new direction. And the Chariot vibes high when it's upright. And it's moving in a direction that serves the highest good. It's not moving backwards. It's not stuck. It's moving forwards. It's moving by will, right? Again, you've got so many wands coming through in your reading as an energy. This Chariot driver to me is like moving the Chariot with determination, confidence, will, creativity. That personal power center is what moves the Chariot. And the horses represent that divine feminine and divine masculine, or you can think of it as the dark and the light. You can think of it as the yin and the yang. You can think of it however you want. It's those polarities working together, being in oneness with ourselves, accepting ourselves, loving ourselves, and trusting ourselves to move forward, to move ahead past obstacles, past limits that we didn't think we could surpass, you know, and doing so again with that two-way street. There's so much balance asking. Your reading is asking for balance. 4 of Wands, 6 of Pentacles, the Chariot, you know, like it's very interesting. And it's all about shifting here. When we see that Tower in reverse and the Magician with the Fool and the Chariot, you got lots of major arcana here. You're really moving through some life lessons this week, Scorpio. Let's see what the potential outcome is for Scorpio on this path. Ace of Swords in reverse. That's a very interesting outcome card because this is the sword of truth. This is a sword of victory, and you're holding it upside down, which means you're keeping your truth to yourself. I think because you've been wounded when you've expressed yourself. In the past, when you've expressed yourself, like we see here with the Knight of Wands, there was some moment of needing recovery after that. And then you've had a difficult time being open since then. And so it's almost like you have to express this truth. That will get the Chariot moving. That will help you take a leap of faith. That will relieve some of the wounded queen energy here. And you'll see that actually you can and are always manifesting whatever you believe is possible. And so it's very interesting. The bottom of the deck is the 7 of Cups in reverse. Scorpio, this is a time where you may be fearing the options ahead. Fear may be blocking you from pursuing things that feel in resonance with your higher self, right? Like, this is really interesting. There is a call here for you to allow yourself to move forward in a direction that is your truth without you limiting that by fearing outcome, fearing rejection, fearing whatever, you know, fearing people not understanding you, fearing people's judgments. It's very interesting because I really feel like fear is here. Fear is present in this reading, and it's holding you back in some ways, right? It's not allowing you to fully express yourself. Let's see what oracle card you will receive, Scorpio. To close this reading, what was the highest guidance for Scorpio at this time? Look at that. Soulmates. Isn't that interesting? Soulmates upright is a time, not like, I know a lot of people see this card and think romance immediately, but a soulmate is a contract you have with another soul to do something that will teach you both something, you know? And sometimes this lesson can have to do with love, but sometimes it doesn't, right? Like not all soulmates are sort of here to explore a love connection, although that is sort of how we think of soulmates sometimes. This card is really about a harmonious relationship. And I'm feeling that that harmonious relationship is being echoed in the Six of Pentacles for you. The give and take, that has to be in harmony, right? The idea that you will be able to sort of evolve and transform through the relationship with other people, that's here too. And you've cut yourself off from that to some degree, Scorpio, when I see the Queen of Wands in reverse and this Ace of Swords in reverse and this idea of the Four of Wands even in reverse. It's interesting. It's like you've sort of cut yourself off from the alliances that could be most helpful to you in supporting your dreams, in supporting what you desire to see fulfilled here. So collaboration, co-creation, finding the partners and those who will be conscious collaborators with you in helping you move forward with things, who will share the give and receive with you, who will be the people that while you sort of are open and you're being your authentic self with, who are the people that are going to join you in that harmony, that harmonic collaboration. This is a journey that you're meant to share with others. And right now I feel like you're trying to do everything by yourself. And that's not serving you. And that may be what the whole point of this reading was to allow other people to be open to other people, to be receptive to other people. And there may be someone specific. There may be someone specific that you're supposed to collaborate with. And they might be surrounding your energy right now, but you're not maybe open to allowing them in because of past experiences. This is a very intriguing reading. I hope it's resonated for you. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me, Scorpio. I look forward to reading for you again soon, and I'm sending you so much love and light. Take care.